Item Number SCP-329 Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedures. The building in which SCP-329 is located has been purchased by the Foundation Front Company and designated Site. Access to Site is restricted to Level 3 personnel. Faculty personnel to undergo full body scans at least every 48 hours. Since it is unknown how many adherents the Church of the Gardener possessed, Site should be considered a risk of recapture and appropriate measures taken. Description: SCP-329 is a room in a derelict building at... The room is in the building's cellar, 6 meters by 5 meters, with a steel fire door. Room contains 6 folding beds. Beds are fitted with IV stands and leather restraints. 5 of the beds are occupied. Occupants are both standard sexes and several races, with ages 16 to 64. Occupants have been designated SCP-329-01 through SCP-329-05 and have been identified as 01. No fixed address. 02. No fixed address. 03. Former medical student at University. 04. No fixed address. And 05. D-Class personnel who was subjected to Event 329-A. Occupants of beds all have cancer. Types of cancer varies from occupant to occupant, but all cases have at least 3 tumors of grade T3N1M0 or higher. Although cancers are advanced, they do not follow normal progression. 2 of the cases, with a prognosis of weeks at best under normal conditions, have remained alive since at least... Occupants are alert, but in great pain and are unable to speak. Every 24 hours, at approximately 4 a.m., SCP-329 undergoes Event 329-A. The door closes with great force and cannot be reopened for the duration of the event. Anything obstructing the doorway is pulled into the room. Event 329-A lasts for approximately 20 minutes, after which it's possible to open the door again. Equipment for remote observation and recording is rendered inert during 329-A in a manner consistent with a non-standard spacetime event. The only sounds heard from outside during 329-A are screaming from the room's occupants. After the event, occupants are apparently unharmed, bearing no incisions or external trauma. Their tumors, however, have been altered, in some cases radically. They've been reshaped and their direction of growth has been altered. 3 of the occupants have tumors of more than 20 feet in length, twining through bones and organs. SCP-329-05, who was cancer-free before the exposed event to 329-A, was found after weeks to have developed T1N0M0 lung cancer, which, in 3 weeks, since has grown to T3. Only people inside of the room are affected by 329-A. In those who have been removed from the room, their cancer progresses normally, resulting in death. Discovery: SCP-329 was discovered by a group of university medical students who noticed abnormal cancers in the bodies of indigents supplied for dissection. They traced the source to SCP-329, which was used as a squat. They came to the Foundation's attention through material they circulated on the internet under the name of Church of the Gardener, see document 329-1. When a mobile task force secured SCP-329, the Church had been operating for about 11 months, luring indigents into the building with promises of drugs and shelter and subjecting them to Event 329-A. 7 members of the Church were present and offered armed resistance. 5 were eliminated by the MTF, and the other 2 held out just long enough to subject themselves to Event 329-A. 1 was subsequently vivisected by the research team, and the other designated SCP-329-03. The Church's records were retrieved. They begin as relatively straightforward medical case notes, but degenerate over time into a religious creed. Addendum. Document 329-1. Partial transcript of video found at youtube.com/.
Your body is an Eden after the fall, ruled by tyranny of the gray devil in your skull. Your bodies are like gray lifeless cities, every cell marching in lockstep, any deviation punished. Any growth, anything alive and green met with cut it out, burn it, or poison it. In Lo Sung, and the budding cancer is destroyed, or else it fights back. It brings down your body like Samson does the temple of Dagon. Now it has come to cure us. Each day it plants, it prunes, and it trains. It makes the gray city a garden again. And it will take root. It will bear fruit, and it will spread across the world.
Off the record. SCP-329, while only afflicting a few people at this point in time, should be regarded as a much larger issue in need of the facility's direct intervention. This may hint at something more sinister at play than one particular point on this planet warping and altering the bodies of those currently experiencing the events of 329-A. There is something fairly concerning about how this is spreading through the 5 contained within that room. Cancer itself is an insidious disease, a bastardization of multicellular organisms, but one that could be understood under the right context. We are composed of many cells, all working together for the common good of the organism. Each cell has a job that it must conduct, and when it becomes damaged, old, or defunct, other cells are sent to eliminate it, and then new cells take its place. If we were to apply the same principles to a society of people, we would look at it abhorrently and with disgust. We as a multicellular organism believe we have the right to exist, so a society stated as such, while existing sometimes on this planet and in pockets around the world, is one whose brutality is never looked upon favorably. On a microscale, eventually something happens within those cells. The methods by which a cell allows itself to be destroyed by the beck and call of a natural killer T cell through a mechanism known as apoptosis is subsequently ignored. The cell disregards the body's call for its own destruction, and instead, it reverts back to being a eukaryotic unicellular organism that was once a part of you. Eventually, though, its replicated process of mitosis, it begins building back to a multicellular organism, at least somewhat. Absorbing nutrients from the body like a parasite, it will officially become a tumor. The question is at this point, who is who? The cancer is most definitely you, but is no longer playing for your team due to the brutal conditions of existing within a multicellular body. Would looking out for its own survival be something that is despised? It's an interesting philosophical question to be sure concerning the progression of cancer, but on more corporeal terms, all of this change results in the changing of the DNA. Certain genes are broken, which allows it in turn to break the control that the body has over it. This may be an indicator of what's taking place in the room during 329-A events. It is clear when the door shuts, 01 through 05's bodies are being subjected to potential energy that may not have been measured on the outside of the building, possibly due to the material itself within the walls, or, in fact, simply due to the existence of the partial transcript. It would appear something is guiding this energy, and may not want it to exit the immediate space. But that's the concerning part. Once a 329-A event starts, this particular area of the universe would likely be changed, transported, or in other words, altered to some degree. We hypothesize as a species that near the edge of the universe, we may see an inward folding of space doubling back over itself, changing direction and bending light back. But the key is that this is simply our own universe. We also hypothesize that other dimensional planes may exist, we cannot see nor consciously grasp being of this dimension. What is happening in the room, then, I would propose, is a point in our universe where the doorway is opened by the closing of the doorway of the church. Here, something must exist. Once the human body is subjected to this energy from this plane of existence, genetic coding is broken down and manipulated. However, it does not appear to be random. Here, as the transcript proposes, something is altering the human form on purpose. Cells are set free of the bonds imposed by them by the human multicellular organism. The cancer is, ironically, directly controlled by this energy. Cells ebb and flow in growth and recede back to their normal functions at the will of the proposed energy within the room at the time during a 329-A event. If we were able to get the patients to talk, they may possibly be able to confirm my suspicions. This is why I believe something much more nefarious may be taking place concerning SCP-329. Why do you remove the tongue of someone? Because you fear what they have to say. The simple fact that their bodies are incapable of speech after the event would indicate that something is being kept quiet for a specific reason. This, coupled with the inert rendering of our electrical and mechanical observation machines, mean that the natural order of the universe may very well be interrupted intentionally. While rendered a Euclid designation, my suspicion is that this is simply the beginning of something much larger and insidious. These people are being contorted and infested with a cancer for a particular reason. Whether that's just to understand the human form and biology, or just right the perceived injustice a multicellular body has by whatever energy or being that may be existing within the same universal plane during a 329-A event, which in turn results in the screaming of 01 through 05, is not yet understood. My proposal will be to figure out what exactly is happening during the 329-A event and soon, as there is no indication that this won't spread. More so if the church members are able to take back the church and continue with their rituals.